Are you thinking about relocating to Salem, Oregon, but you're wondering which neighborhoods you should probably avoid purchasing a house in? Well, good news, friends, because in this video, I'm going to tell you the neighborhoods that you need to avoid. I myself relocated to Salem, and I wish someone had told me to avoid moving into the neighborhood. But instead, that's exactly where I ended up buying a house. So let me help you avoid making the same mistakes I did and break down some of the neighborhoods that you might want to think twice about if you're relocating to Salem, Oregon. Stick around until the end if you want to find out which neighborhood I regretted buying a house in. My name is Clarity Odd, and I'm a local real estate agent here in Salem who specializes in relocations. If you want to hire me to be your Salem, Oregon real estate agent, scan this QR code right here with your phone and book a one-on-one consultation with me. The first neighborhood on our list is the area of downtown, which is located right here and is technically called Central Area. But let me be the first person to tell you that people do not call it by that name. They simply refer to this area as downtown. You are going to want to avoid this area of town if you do not like the idea of living in a condo. We have two main condo buildings in downtown Salem, so you can imagine that inventory is pretty dang tight. So bring your patience and bring your best offers if you decide that you want to move into the downtown area and you'll want condo living. There are just a few homes located on this northern section of downtown Salem, but for the most part, your only option if you really want to live in downtown Salem is going to be condo living. But if you love the idea of living sky high in your 7th story condo, then this might be the area for you. Downtown Salem is going to give you great vibes, but if you are looking for those big city energy vibes, that is not what downtown Salem has to offer. So leave those expectations at the curb because you are going to find that downtown Salem is pretty dang chill for a downtown. But it does become really vibrant and exciting in the summertime when it's not dark, cold, and rainy here, which is like 8 to 9 months out of the year. The next neighborhood on our list is the area of South Central. South Central is located right here, and you are definitely going to want to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of cute ground squirrels, big oak trees, and older houses that are charming as fuck in this neighborhood. This neighborhood is really known for its quintessential Pacific Northwest vibes and having really easy access to Bush Park and being pretty darn close to the Salem Hospital and downtown Salem. If your main priority is location and you want an older character home, perhaps a cute little cottage or bungalow or craftsman style house, then this is the neighborhood that you should be looking in. But if that's not your jive, you should definitely be avoiding this neighborhood like the plague because there is no such thing as a new construction home in this historic and charming area of town. But instead of new construction, you are going to find those cute, quaint cottages, but also some big ass mansions from the founders who actually developed industry within the capital of Oregon. That's right, Salem is the capital of Oregon. The next neighborhood on our list is the area of South Salem, which is located right here. And friends, this is not to be confused with like the literal bottom half of Salem. No, no, no. This is the neighborhood of South Salem, and it's a very specific section. If you do not like the idea of living amongst the trees and having some funky architecture and mid-century modern vibes nestled up on a hillside with stellar views of the Willamette Valley or the Oregon coastline, then this neighborhood should not be on your list because that is exactly what you are going to find in this neighborhood. The South Salem neighborhood is a great blend of funky houses meets fun people and just quirkiness all around. This area of town has a small handful of new construction homes, but if your primary focus is new construction, you are only going to find a handful of new construction houses that go up in this area. The houses here are amazing in this area, but there are hills, and we all know how I feel about hills. If you feel the same way that I do about hills, you might need to take this little puppy off of your list too. The next neighborhood on our list is the neighborhood of Sunny Slope, which is located right here. You need to avoid this neighborhood if you actually like people and you hate nature, because the Sunny Slope neighborhood is as far south as you can get while still being within the city boundaries, and it is filled with a lot of parks and easy access to the rural countrysides of Salem. And if you like the idea of finding a super cool character and older home, you are going to want to avoid this neighborhood as well, because more often than not, these homes were constructed from the 1950s on, and now they are starting to develop this area a little bit more, which means that there are pockets of new construction going on. But again, if you like people, avoid this area, because you are going to find that this is where the people go to live that don't necessarily want to go into town every single day, and they might find themselves a little bit antisocial, which is okay, because instead of socializing, they tend to garden, and they want to garden by themselves. If you're watching this video on a TV, which is about 50% of you who are, I know that it is stupid hard to hit that like button and comment below. So instead, I'll ask you to watch this video until the end, because that's good for my channel too. The next neighborhood on our list is Fairway, which is located right here. You need to be avoiding this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of being conveniently located to all of the grocery stores that Salem has to offer. And if you do not like the idea of having a beeline straight into downtown Salem and damn easy access to Interstate 5. You're also going to want to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of dead ends and cul-de-sacs and winding roads with majestic Disney names like Snow White Way. I'd also advise you to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of people walking their dogs, people walking with their neighbors, and beautiful, unique architecture and big-ass gardens. This neighborhood is one of the most conveniently located neighborhoods in all of South Salem, because you are positioned right smack dab in the middle of the two main commuting streets that we have here in Salem. So you're gonna have easy access to Costco, to downtown Salem, and to anywhere else around the city, which means that this neighborhood of Fairway should definitely be avoided if you are like, ew, convenience in my life? No, thank you. The next neighborhood on our list is South Gateway, which is located right here. You, my friend, are going to want to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of living on a hill and being surrounded by a whole heck of a lot of trees. You also need to avoid this neighborhood if you don't like the idea of golf course vibes or cookie cutter houses, because this neighborhood has more modern architecture and construction, which means that the houses do tend to look a little bit more similar to each other than some other neighborhoods that we've been chatting about. So if you are looking for a character home that is older and you like the idea of DIYing the heck out of it, then this neighborhood might not be the right one for you. And if it's just you, your partner, your doggo, or you might be solo, or whoever you have in your house, but it's just a finite number, you might find that the houses here are a little bit bigger than what you actually need, because it's easy for the houses out here to be close to the 3,000 square foot mark, which means either you guys need to take up a lot more room if it's just you and your partner and your dog, or just you and your dog, your friend, I don't know, but you're gonna need to take up a lot of room in these houses. Or you're gonna have to pretend like you actually have friends who are coming over all the time, and I don't know, you're having big ass dinner parties, and that's why you need a really big house. Either way, I want you to be inviting me to your dinner parties. I promise I will always be on my best behavior, and I will always bring whatever you tell me that I should bring. Next neighborhood on our list is Morningside, which is located right here. Now, you need to be avoiding this neighborhood if you are terrified of wild peacocks and wild turkeys, because this neighborhood has them in spades. Now, I know that a lot of you guys are coming from California, and the idea of wild peacocks is not anything new to you. So you probably already know that they are super annoying and loud, but as cute as can be. But don't worry, the sounds of peacocks and wild turkeys will be drowned out by the active train that passes through this part of town, because Morningside is right next to the train tracks and the Salem Airport, which does have commercial flights, which means that if you do not like the idea of noise pollution in your life, this neighborhood might not be the right one for you. Also, you're going to want to avoid this neighborhood if you don't like the idea of single-story ranch living, or living in an agri-hood like Pringle Creek. Now, these are all serious concerns, especially the wild peacocks and turkeys, because how does that even happen in a city? This is a genuine question. I really don't understand why we have wild peacocks or turkeys, but I imagine that there's a really great story behind it. The next neighborhood on our list is West Salem, which is located right here. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you probably already know that I'm going to tell you, you need to be avoiding West Salem if you do not like the idea of crossing the Willamette River on the West Salem Bridge. But I bet what you aren't going to be able to anticipate me saying is that if you do not like the idea of living hillside or having backyards that are just really sloped, or front yards for that matter, or driveways for that matter. I just hate the idea of living hillside, and this is one of the areas of town that is personally checked off of my list because of the amount of hills in West Salem. And if you are not a wino who likes the idea of getting day drunk and going to vineyards, then you might just want to cross this neighborhood off of your list as well, because West Salem is incredibly close to a lot of local vineyards and the Willamette Valley in general, which is, as we all know, great for growing grapes. Overall, West Salem is a great springboard if you feel like getting hot and heavy with some grapes in the middle of the day. Next on our list is the area of Kaiser, which is located right here. You need to be avoiding this neighborhood if you are like convenient access to Interstate 5 to get into Portland. Ew, why would anyone want that? If you don't want that convenient access, then this neighborhood should probably be taken off of your list. And technically, I know, Kaiser is not a neighborhood of Salem. It's actually a completely different city, and it has its own city hall, it has a different po-po station, different utilities, and all of that good stuff. But the way that it functions, it basically just is a neighborhood of Salem because they are just so stinking close. If you are looking for a character home or a cute, charming, older, funky house, you need to avoid this area of town as well because the homes in Kaiser are predominantly more cookie cutter. And also, if you scoff at the idea of having a house that has a little bit cheaper price tag, then Kaiser should be removed from your list as well because it tends to be a little bit cheaper than Salem. Next on our list is actually two neighborhoods in one because they are so stinking similar and close together. They are Grant and Highland, and those sweet babies are located right here. You are going to want to avoid this neighborhood entirely if you do not like the idea of smaller houses that need a little bit of TLC and renovations. If you detest the idea of a pink bathroom or an avocado colored kitchen, then this neighborhood needs to be striked down right off of your list. You need to be avoiding this neighborhood if you want a spacious house that has more than 1,700 square feet, because these babies in this neighborhood, the houses are petite little things. These houses are as cute as can be, but a lot of them do tend to have a lot of original features. So you need to be avoiding this neighborhood if you're just like, no baby cakes. We've got a lot of people and animals and a lot going on. We just need more space and something that is turnkey ready. The next neighborhood on our list is Northeast Salem, which is located right here. You need to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of living next to farmland and in suburbia. And this is the neighborhood that I first relocated to when I moved to Salem. And the reason why my husband and I absolutely hated this neighborhood so much was because of all of the dust in the air from being next to those farmlands. And it took us like 20 plus minutes on a good day to get into downtown Salem, which is really where we like to hang out and go on date nights and go get a drink and play arcade games. So it just really wasn't convenient for our lifestyle and our vibe. You, my friend, need to avoid this neighborhood if you do not like the idea of living in a brand spanking new house built by a big old national builder who can offer great incentives, which ultimately means that the houses out here are more affordable if you know where to look, or if you just ask me where to look. So if you're not looking for affordability, scratch this neighborhood right off of your list because you are just going to dislike how affordable it can be. If you enjoyed this video, you, my friends, are gonna want to watch this one next. Bye bye.